Welcome to Literature News, the podcast on YouTube. I am Hans-Georg Ruprecht. In the halls of the University of St. Paul in Ottawa, I'm at the 7th edition of FILibro Canadá, Feria IBEROAMERICAna del LIBRO en Canadá. Literatura para todos, como se dice aquí. Y el ambiente es fabuloso. It's a wonderful event here in the nation's capital, and I will try to meet authors and the organizers of this FILibro Canadá 2025. Bueno, ahora estoy con la Embajada de México, con la señora Gracia Tenorio Pearl. Well, I'm excited meeting you. Hello.
Me too. Thank you very much. Very nice to meet you.
Well, look, you are working with the embassy, right?
No, actually, I was invited by the embassy. The Mexican embassy in Canada made an invitation to some of the artists, the Mexican writers. And most of us here that are today live here in Canada. Personally, I've been living here for the last 22 years.
Right.
And yes, it's a very nice support from the embassy. I have to say, I'm very thankful.
I never believed that there were so many authors of Mexican origin in Canada.
Yes.
And they're writing in both languages.
Yes, and even three, because also some of the writers write in French. For example, my neighbor here also writes in French. Personally, I didn't even know either that so many Mexican artists were living here in Canada, and it's very rewarding. We just come from the opening, and there was the lecture a speech given by the ambassador of Spain, and he gave us statistics on the importance of not only the language, Spanish, but also the Spanish cultures, the Hispanic cultures in the world. And yes, he was giving us some numbers based in Statistics Canada, for example. And he was talking about how Spanish is the third most spoken language in Canada, which is surprising because one would think, well, there are more immigrants from other parts of the world. But yes, of course, if you take into account also the number of people living in Hispanic countries around the world, it's close to 1 billion.
Right. Well, I'm so glad that you're underscoring what you just said, because normally speaking, in the country at large, we don't have an idea how important the southern part of this hemisphere is, right? Our connections are with the States, and then it stops, And while with Mexico, it's growing now, but with the other parts of South America, there's in the public in general, therefore I'm here and trying to support the event here, there's not a clear understanding of the contribution and the richness and the wealth of culture and invention and development in Latin America. Para hablar así.
Yes. The ambassador was also talking about, for example, music is like a given, but also podcasts, how it has increased from 2010, if I'm not mistaken, from around 300 podcasts in Spanish to 500,000 now. And only in Spotify, And yes, the trade and it's very interesting to see. That just because of language, like all of the countries in Hispanic America, in Latin America, are so different, so unique. Thanks to language, we can understand each other. We can catch up really fast about their traditions. Because of course we have a common, a common origin. Spain, but also our indigenous roots.
I think this is really very important for all of us in Canada to understand the diversity of Spanish spoken in the Americas, and also the cultural kind of diversity in terms of First Nations and, of course, the history of independence in the various countries.
Yes.
And of course, the lovely thing is for people who speak Spanish to immediately see this person is from Cuba, this is from Argentina, and this person is from Mexico, because we immediately recognize the South American accents, right?
Yes. And it's funny because immediately, and I say it as an immigrant as well, as soon as we hear, because I've seen it with so many people, as soon as we hear Spanish, even though if it's not Spanish as a mother tongue language, but we hear Spanish, immediately it's like we become friends. And then we make fun about each other's slangs, and you must know because you lived in Mexico.
But the lovely thing is, there is, so to speak, a common language also at the level of gestures, of communication, right?
Yeah.
Sí, somos cuates, somos con el abrazo, ¿no? Es muy espontáneo, ¿no?
Sí.
So we have this kind of mutual understanding. In spite of the differences, as you just said, we have so much in common, right? So how do you see Mexico in Canada from your point of view? What is the role of Mexico in Canada?
Well, I think, first, economic is very important, because of trade. But I also find a lot of similarities in terms of the indigenous peoples currently, past as well, and the importance, I think, and not only with Mexico, but with the rest of, I will talk about Latin America, the rest of the Spanish-speaking countries, South America, Central America. I think there's a lot of common with the indigenous peoples here in Canada. Trying to educate not only indigenous, but also non-indigenous about how is it that these cultures are not dead, it's not a thing of the past, it's very current, and it's very influences in our daily life. Well, what can I say? I mean, me as a Mexican, I can enjoy many important traditions like Dia de los Muertos, Dia de Muertos, or the Day of the Dead, because I see that with the years, in the recent years, it's like there's much more variety of, for example, this tradition, Day of the Dead, you have in like 5 different places in the city. Before, like over 20 years ago when I arrived here, it was like, yes, in this place, okay, everybody, all the communities there. But now the variety of options is much more ample. I guess it's because maybe more people are here or just more people know about it. So that, as a Mexican, as an immigrant from Mexico, makes me feel very comfortable and also very happy because I can bring my kids to that because they were born and raised here, so they can also appreciate their Mexican heritage. And it's all here in Canada.
Well, let me ask you, what your children know, I suppose they do, what an escuincle is.
Sí, escuincle for sure. And
what is it?
Escuincle is like little kid.
Yes.
But
nobody would understand this outside Mexico.
Yes, I think
don't know whether the Cubans will immediately understand what an escuincle is.
And it's so funny because if you compare it, for example, with the escuincle, means it has the same meaning, it's like little kid, but for example in Argentina, they have a similar, the equivalent would be pendejo or pendeja, but that is a very bad word in Mexico.
Por supuesto.
No, it's a very bad.
Never.
Exactly. I used to.
Don't say this in Mexico.
In Argentina, that means escuincle.
Oh,
yes.
I never knew that.
I used to work in the embassy of Argentina many years ago, and the first time I heard, I was like, come on, why are you so aggressive? And they said, no, it's just that in your country this means... So that's super funny, because we have similar words, but actually completely different meanings. Yes, I swear, check it, I swear.
That means... That's a very nice story.
It's like little kid in Argentina.
Tell me a little bit about what the new books from Mexico you have here. Just
this one, my book is called Shuki.
Oh, you're author as well.
Yes, and I illustrated it.
Oh, you're an illustrator as well.
Yes. I'm an art historian, so I'm used to do, like, part of my work is to do research about the trajectory of an artist, But as a way to contribute, I'm more focused on indigenous artists, living indigenous artists, contemporary indigenous artists. So this is the first book of a series of books. I made it it's an authorized biography of one indigenous artist from Mexico, Francisco Guaroco Rosas. He's from Michoacan. Cherán is his community, Cherán, Michoacan. And so we were in communication for a whole year to be able to do this book. He sent me information, filled out a large questionnaire, sent me photos, videos, and explained to me about not only his trajectory, but also very focused on his community. And to me, it's a way to honor my ancestral part, which is Huasteca, from La Huasteca Potosina. Shuki means ahora, now, in Tenec or Huastec language. So, because that's what I want to do, promote the work of indigenous contemporary artists. So I started with Mexico, of course, but I'm also very interested in following up with the Canadian artists, indigenous artists.
Gracias, Tenorio Pearl. Thank you so much for this lovely conversation.
Thank you.
And maybe one day you will be at the mic. We're going to talk about your book.
I had a presentation at the Mexican Embassy last December, but sure, I would love to do it again sometime.
Let's keep this in mind, all right?
Yes, for sure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bueno, ahora estoy con William Sarmore de la Embajada de El Salvador y vamos a hablar un poco de sus actividades culturales en Canadá. Encantado encontrarle aquí en la FILibro 2025. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. And I think it's a great opportunity, this fair and all these events, to show the world what we can offer. We as a country and we as the Latin Americans, I think we have a lot to offer in terms of not just this type of events, but also in culture. I think we can give a lot to this country, and I think it's a great opportunity to show what we have to offer.
Well, I'm impressed by what I'm seeing here. A nice collection, in addition to little pots with coffee.
Yeah, no, this is Salvadoran coffee, and I think...
What is more important, books or coffee?
Yeah, I think both. I think
both.
Yeah, you can have a cup of coffee and read a book at the same time. I think it's a good combination. And again, I think one of the things we have to offer, and I think one of the best things we offer to all other countries, it's our coffee. We have a specialty coffee, and all people love Salvadoran coffee. We also loved it, so we're very proud.
So do I, by the way.
Yeah, so we're very proud about our coffee.
Please tell me, I find here a fascinating book, which is called Antología la Poesía del Siglo XX en El Salvador. Tell me more about this book.
Well, I think it's about more related to the history of El Salvador. I mean, it's more
poetry,
the poetry, but related to our history, and it's a very interesting book. It's from it was written by Fernando Valverde, which is a Salvadoran, and also for Tania Pleites Vela, which is also Salvadoran. So it's very interesting.
Who are the poets?
Well, I think one of the most important it's Francisco Gaviria and also Claudia Lars. They are in terms of poetry, they are like on the top. So, and they are both Salvadoran. So I think I love Claudia Lars' poetry, and I think that's like one of the best poetries we have to offer. Claudia Lars.
Is poetry very popular in your country?
It's very popular in El Salvador, so we really love that. Yeah, so I think we have to support them, and no, it's great.
So thank you very much, and good luck with the Feria.
Thank you.
Encantado.
Un placer.
Tal vez el evento más interesante para nosotros es precisamente la conferencia, la presentación de la autora Beatriz Osna, encantado.
Yo también, feliz de conocerlo. Muchas gracias.
Explica a nosotros con algunas palabras. ¿Tiene usted una relación familiar con la historia del surrealismo en Chile? Tal vez en English.
In English? Okay. So, I mean, I came into all this sort of around the kitchen table, you know, because my mother and my stepfather, Ludwig Zeller, and my mother, Susanna Wald, were sort of the center of a lot of activity in Santiago during the 1960s and until we left in 1971, actually. So all of this was happening around me when I was a child. I found it incredibly weird and not that easy to relate to. But when we came to Canada, there were no Latin Americans here. There were no Spanish-speaking people. There were no people who actually knew about surrealism. So Ludwig Zeller, who was a very important surrealist poet and visual artist, in a way kind of indoctrinated me, you know, into surrealism because of all the activities taking place in the house and because I was interested in writing and I learned a lot about the literature and the art of that movement as I became an adult. I have an education in French and Spanish literature, and all of the things that I learned at home complemented that education. So very slowly I was formed into this person that I am now, or that I became.
And as a translator.
And so one of the important things about my trajectory is that it felt very obvious to me, even as a young person, that I wanted to share these writers that I was reading and discovering, people like César Moro, who was a Peruvian surrealist, an extraordinary poet who became a very important influence on my work, or Rosamel del Valle, a Chilean, and so forth, or of the people I just spoke to in the Mandragora group.
Yes.
So I thought it was very important to share this with my contemporaries, because there was nothing like it. And I was the first person who became a translator of these people. And I've never been able to publish my translations comme il faut, you know, of standalone collections representing each of these writers. This is why I became an advocate and an activist in literary translation. I was president of an association and so forth. Not even with that was I able to move forward with this project. What did come out of that was my education as a poet, because those are the writers that formed the sediment on which my writing is based. And my writing is very, very strange because I write in English, but my antecedents are Spanish or French writers. And so my models, structurally, stylistically, and even in terms of attitude towards reality, are quite different from that of my contemporaries and my community, you know, because I'm part of a Canadian literary community, artistic community. So my writing, I don't know if it sounds really strange or not, but it explores all aspects of reality that interest me. You know, my first collection of poems is called The Wardrobe Mistress. It explores the idea of technology because it was the beginning of the advent of computers and the relationship between people and machines, but also
which is indeed also surrealist.
Well, because it's actually a very old paradigm, because people have been building robots or mechanical people since time immemorial. You know, right. I have a poem called The Seamstress and the Living Doll, where through sewing, a woman constructs for herself a lover. Right? A man. So, you know, I like this connection, and I learned that from reading E.T.A. Hoffman, for example.
Which is so topical, because nowadays we're talking about robots for private
absolutely, but you know,
company, right?
It's what surrealism offers is the possibility of. I mean, surrealism stands against capital. It stands against oppression of any kind, and what I find so odd in living in this time is that the stealing that the technology has made of the art and of the philosophies that came before is taking us towards a kind of destruction, whereas the point of surrealism is the construction of a complete reality where we are in touch with every element of reality, including that which is not visible, which is sensed or imagined or dreamt or fantasized about. And it can be very, very destructive. Collages are very weird, kind of destructive, sadistic things even. But the point is, you don't have to apply this to human beings and destroy them. You can do them in a poem or in a song or in a painting or in a performance.
Yes. Beatrice Hosner, I should like to come back to one observation you made during your presentation, which I find so stimulating, and I could only confirm it from my own readings. But I would like to hear from you a little bit more about this idea that surrealism, what you just said about surrealism, is not only having a contemporary resonance, but is in fact the reservoir, the source for contemporary writing in Latin American literature, in fiction, in Carlos Fuentes. Is it there as well? I would like to hear from you how you do see that connection in contemporary writing.
Like especially in 20th century.
Yes, I'm talking
20th
about.
century. Yeah, it's because most of the...
In Carpentier, for instance?
Carpentier, exactly, because I think, and this is not original, it was Ludwig Zeller who had this interesting idea that I've developed since. The Spanish tradition in art and in writing is a tradition that comes mostly from the Baroque in the Renaissance, right?
Yes, yes.
And so the Baroque conceives of expression as being constant and evolving as a kind of...
Excessive also, in a
and
way.
excessive, and also, or not, it can be very, very, very... Like Quevedo is a Baroque poet, but he's extremely controlled, So the point is that it allows for a kind of imagining that never stops, right? And,
That's an excellent point.
and
yes.
so I think that there's a less fear of the infinite and of change in this manner. And also, I think that the Americas, the continent, is geographically is so huge and so unreachable that it allows you to feel completely open. For me, the perfect landscape is because of what I've had. My destiny has me in Canada, right? The landscape that lends itself most wholly to surrealist creation is the prairie, because there's nothing there. Yeah, because
that's a wonderful
because
idea.
it's so completely open.
Yes.
And you can feel the presence of people that have been through there, and you can hear the animals at night and the sunsets that are so long in the summer. All of these things are very, in a way, there's a kind of mysticism of reality that surrealism proposes, and that is possible here and now. Mm-hmm. Even in this place like Ottawa. Like my latest book is called She Who Lies Above, and the concept of that book came to me in Trois-Rivières, where there's a poetry festival.
I know these people. It's a wonderful festival, no?
Yes, and I'm going there next week, actually.
Oh, great.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
sure.
And I was exploring the idea of Hypatia, the philosopher, the Alexandrian philosopher, and I thought how appropriate it would be to be Hypatia right here in Trois-Rivières, and this could be Alexandria. Well, this is what surrealism allows us to do.
Yes.
That's how I see it.
Well, I am so thankful, Beatrice Hosner, for these remarks, and I would like to I do hope that we will have another occasion where we talk only about your work, your poetry, and I wish you a wonderful time in Trois-Rivières.
Thank you.
À très bientôt. Hein?
À très bientôt. Vous allez là-bas?
Cette fois-ci, non, mais
vous connaissez le festival?
Je connais le festival, je connais l'organisateur, j'ai des amis là-bas. Il faut que je passe une semaine là pendant tout le festival.
Oui. On se verra. In any case, we will be in touch.
We will be. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. I'm so happy to have met you.
Well, it is just the beginning.
Okay, thank you so much. This is wonderful. Do you ever come to Toronto?
Well, once in a while, yeah.
When you do.
Bueno, ahora estoy con la editorial Olmo Ediciones está establecida en la provincia de Quebec, ¿verdad?
Sí, provincia de Quebec es una editorial colombo-canadiense. La sede principal está en Cali, Colombia, y es una editorial que ha publicado libros de autores canadienses.
Colombo-canadiense.
Colombo-canadienses.
Donc, comme vous venez me le dire, vous êtes au fond de la ville de Québec.
Oui, on habite dans la ville de Québec. Oui.
Et comment ça se passe à Québec pour ce qui est de l'espagnol? Est-ce qu'il y a des lecteurs en espagnol? Beaucoup, hein?
Il y a beaucoup de gens intéressés à parler l'espagnol, à apprendre l'espagnol. C'est quand même une langue qui attire les Québécois et les Québécoises. Et ils se sentent plus à l'aise parce qu'ils les trouvent très proches au français. Et je pense qu'à Québec, la culture québécoise, en gardant les dimensions, ressemble aussi un petit peu à la latino-américaine, plus que la culture anglo-saxonne. Donc c'est ça qui les attire aussi.
Il y a des relations culturelles aussi fabuleuses entre le Québec et le Mexique, par exemple, et avec l'Argentine. Non, je pense que vous avez tout à fait raison de souligner l'importance des relations québécoises latino-américaines.
Oui, c'est ça.
Est-ce que vous recevez de temps en temps à Québec des auteurs du pays latino-américain?
Il y a un cercle qui s'appelle le Cercle Gabriel García Márquez, qui s'est dirigé pour des latino-américains. Ça fait longtemps de la maison latino-américaine. C'est un espace qui ouvre la porte à des écrivains de tout le monde. Mais on dirait que pour le fait que ça soit conçu pour des latinos, mais il essaye d'ouvrir une fenêtre aussi pour les latino-américains. Mais ce n'est pas une chose très habituelle. Disons que c'est très niché encore.
Oui, c'est niché, oui.
Mais il y a en la bibliothèque Gabriel Roy, il y a une section de livres en espagnol y se appelle y beaucoup la collection de Gabriel García Márquez. ¿Sí? Y parfois, à travers de l'histoire, han arrivé de conferencistes hispanos. Oui, je me rappelle de William Ospina, de quelques personnes chilènes qui han arrivé pour l'activité, la programmée pour le centre de Gabriel García Márquez, pour dicter des conférences en espagnol. Oui, et c'est quelque chose qui a promovu beaucoup l'intérêt pour la langue espagnole.
Parlez-moi un tout petit peu de cet éditorial Olmo Ediciones. Quel est votre programme?
Olmo Ediciones, c'est un éditorial qui essaye de faire des livres un travail collectif, pas seulement l'œuvre de l'écrivain. Ça implique d'autres intervenants artistiques comme les illustrateurs, les diagrammateurs. Et à la fin, on fait un travail collectif des ateliers et tout ça. On choisit entre tous le pouvoir des images, qu'est-ce qu'on veut. Et c'est des livres qui sont très illustrés, où l'illustration est très présente. Dans ce moment-là, il a deux collections. La collection Legado, ou Leg en français, qui va publier des livres qui sont reliés à la mémoire, soit très intime, la mémoire familiale, soit pour faire la poésie, la fiction, il cherche des narrations qui racontent avec la peau. Et l'autre collection, c'est Rayos. Ça laisse la porte ouverte à des publications beaucoup plus petites, plus simples, des graphistes, des illustrateurs. Ou bien, dans ce cas-là, on a Espejo, que c'est comme une porte d'entrée à un roman qui est en train de s'éditer. Ou on a une carte d'amour, une lettre d'amour, que c'est un livre graphique dédié aux mains. Et dans la première collection, on a Apaciguando Olvidos, que c'est un livre de poésie. Y Un pájaro en mi boca, que c'est un oiseau dans ma bouche, que c'est des récits, 15 récits illustrés aussi, et que sont un dialogue entre la photographie et la narration fiction.
Mais je trouve ça tout à fait fascinant parce que, d'après moi, c'est un peu une tendance que les maisons comme la vôtre font paraître des livres illustrés. Comment est-ce que vous interprétez cela, que les maisons d'édition veulent... je ne sais pas, qu'est-ce que ça signifie pour vous qu'on s'intéresse ou qu'on publie des livres illustrés?
Pour moi, c'est un pari à faire d'un livre une pièce d'art en soi-même. Pas un livre simplement rempli de paroles ou d'écrits, sinon faire comme je disais tantôt, comme une œuvre collective que tu as envie d'avoir le lire, pas seulement pour les lire, sinon pour l'apprécier comme une pièce d'art. Ça, c'est ça.
Oui, c'est ça. Vous dites ça aussi, oui?
Oui, je pense que pour moi la importancia de Olma Ediciones como una editorial que publica de libros en español, le conseil de la ilustración gráfica del libro, c'est quelque chose qui apporte au-delà del autor. Hay un grupo editorial que lee el libro y así puede construir un contexto de grafismo que apporte valor al libro, porque es una pieza de arte integral. Il y a l'auteur, mais il y a l'éditeur, il y a aussi le graphiste, de la diagramación, y tout ensemble devient un livre de construction collective, une équipe.
Qu'est-ce que ça signifie au plan technique? Vous avez sans doute des ateliers très sophistiqués, hein?
Non, pas nécessairement.
Pas nécessairement.
Pas nécessairement. Pour moi, el apport que ha réussi Olma Ediciones, c'est ensambler, formar un groupe de personnes que la richesse, c'est son monde.
O les talents aussi, exploiter les talents de chacune.
Vous êtes vous-même créateur?
Moi, je suis autrice d'un des livres, de Un pájaro en mi boca, Fernando de Cédula. Je suis aussi photographe, c'est à cause de ça que le livre, c'est un dialogue avec les images.
Ouais.
Et vous êtes auteur aussi?
Oui, c'est le livre de poésie, moi, et le premier chapitre de le roman que s'appelle Espejo. Y sí, Apaciguando Olvidos, que es ¿cómo se dit en francés?
Como calmer les oublis.
Les oublis, oui, c'est comme ça.
Oui. Je vais vous signaler quand l'émission va passer, d'accord?
Okay.
Mais merci beaucoup. Hein?
Merci à vous, monsieur, pour vous intéresser.
That was Literature News podcast on YouTube. I am Hans-Georg Ruprecht. Thank you very much for listening.